Hi folks, this is Dr. Rob Cywes, the Carb Addiction Doc, and this video is going to take me back to my roots in carbohydrate addiction. Today we're talking about getting high versus being happy. All human beings, every day, have a variety of things that trigger emotional tension. We have things that make us anxious, depressed, angry, frustrated, stressed out, sad, bored, and from time to time things even give us pleasure. Not so much anymore because it's 2020. But be that as it may, and I always try to inject a little humor into my videos to give you that little smile and that happiness, condemn me or not. But the point is, all human beings have every day this interaction with things, internal and external, that create emotional tension. And we all have to have mechanisms to dissipate that emotional tension. And one of the reasons I am the Carb Addiction Doc is because very early on for myself as an obese person, I've lost 98 pounds as I sit here. Criticize me if you will for my a little bit extra skin. I'm old as well. But the point is that very early on I realized that subconsciously I'd migrated more and more and more to using a particular substance to instantly obliterate all of those emotions that were evoking that emotional tension. And the two mechanisms I used, number one, was an incredibly powerful, toxic, instantly gratifying drug that just blows the endorphins through the roof of your brain, and amazingly, unlike almost any other drug out there, doesn't cloud judgment, doesn't cloud thought, makes you feel fantastic without any immediate harm. And that drug is the most toxic drug known to mankind, at least in terms of endorphin activation, and it is simply called carbohydrates, sugar and starch. Sugar and starch does not belong in the modern human nutritional system. It belongs in the drug category, along with crystal meth, heroin, fentanyl, alcohol, nicotine, whether it's from vape or from cigarettes. So more and more I realized I was using carbohydrates and the act of snacking like a baseball bat to numb, soothe, and obliterate my emotional needs. And while it may have been effective in helping me to obliterate those emotional needs, it would come back very quickly and I'd need more and more and more, and hence the pattern of snacking that is very similar to someone smoking. So as a fat person, I realized I was getting high all the time to dysfunctionally manage my emotional needs, but it wasn't making me happy because on the back end of that high is negativity, guilt, and harm, and repression of issues I should have been dealing with. So I was becoming a less and less effective human being and less happy with myself the more I used crystal meth to get high. And that made me stressed and it made me angry. And the other way in which I managed my emotional needs instantaneously is to eviscerate myself at the people around me. Any anxiety, any stress, anger became a way of life for me. And it sucked and it hurt me and it hurt everybody around me. So not only was I enormous, I was obese, I was insulin resistant, I was an angry, horrible human being. All in the name of dysfunctional emotional management. And what I realized, and it took me some time watching some of my obese and diabetic patients to realize that I was really good at getting high and I was awful at feeling happy. Happiness comes from within. And happiness is a responsive event to things that you do that relax you, that calm you down, that you are proud of. No pride in drug addiction, folks. No matter how pretty the pizza, it's there to get high. It isn't a work of art. And I realized the things that really make me happy are things that I accomplish, things that require some effort, but things that I do, things that I accomplish. And yes, it requires some effort up front. There's no instant gratification like drugs. All drugs that give you instant gratification are drugs that get high, that give a person who's vulnerable to addictive behavior the pretext or the excuse to become an addict. And I am and always will be a carbohydrate addict, whether I eat them or not. But things that make me happy, the things that make me content, that relax me, that make me proud of myself, are things that I do. And in order to do them, I had to be counteractive against who I am as a human being. I'm a perfectionist, and I had to let go of outcomes metrics as a measure of my success. It's not about the outcome of what I do. It's about the pleasure I derive for myself from the effort I put into something. So it's not about how far or how fast or how long I ran for. It's about going for a walk and relaxing and connecting with my head and processing stuff and coming back and feeling content and happy that I went for a walk in nature. It's about having some communication with my higher power and having that conversation and feeling secure in that relationship that I can sort through really tough things that are challenging to me. It's not about going to a place of worship or reading a book. Those are social things. Those are social things, but spirituality. And even if you're not spiritual, there are times when I don't have that connection. I just have a meditative moment, a quiet moment where my brain allows itself to connect with my subconscious and sort through some of the issues that are driving my emotional tension. And that makes me happy, folks. Being creative makes me happy. Playing a game of cards with my wife. We play cribbage for dessert. Instead of eating sugary crap to get high, we play a game of cards that makes us happy. And we check 2 boxes. We're being creative by playing the game of cards. And I play to win. I don't always, in fact, I seldom win. It's my wife, come on. But I love to play. And also, we're having an empathetic human connection. We're chatting. And maybe I have to take the risk of being vulnerable and talking about certain things I'm insecure about, talking about certain things I need some guidance on. But I trust her. I trust her completely. I don't trust her not to hurt me. I trust her to not be judgmental and not be critical. Sometimes feedback hurts, but I know it's for my betterment. It's not meant to hurt. It's not meant to judge. That's an empathetic human connection. So more and more, as I understood that I'd forsaken all of happiness, all the things that gave me happiness, for an instant high, for instant gratification, that was toxic to my system and made me fat and sick and unhappy and miserable as a human being, I reinvested in the things that every child does. Every child plays and has fun. Most children are exposed to some form of spirituality and religion. All kids play games, all kids draw, all kids run and ride bikes and draw and paint and sing and are creative. They have their imaginary worlds and their imaginary friends. That's creativism. All kids have human connections, and there's almost always at least one empathetic one. But we lose that. We lose that if we're perfectionistic, if we don't use that to provide happiness on an effort investment basis. Because the return of the investment of effort is pride. Pride in our accomplishments, not the result. Pride in the effort itself that builds up self-esteem, that builds up self-confidence, that creates and engenders happiness. Know the difference between getting high on drugs and getting high on addictive behaviors, with remorse and negativity and guilt on the back end. And unconditional happiness that requires the investment of effort. But there's no downside, whether you win or lose. It isn't outcome-based, folks. It's effort-based. And it makes you proud. It builds up self-esteem, builds up self-confidence. It makes us human. Trade in getting high for the hard work and the pleasure of being happy. Understand the difference between high and happy. And you will be a much, much more effective human being. And if you are going to sustain a keto carnivore way of life, you cannot do that by killing your best friend, carbohydrates, and not replacing her with a diverse set of friends called happiness. Not the seven dwarfs, or one of the seven dwarfs. The act of effort to provide happiness. That, folks, is carbohydrate addiction. And I am the Carb Addiction Doc. If this message resonated, please contribute to our Patreon account. It pays for these visits, for these videos. It's a charitable organization. It helps us to educate and to shine the light on something that is in the darkness in our country right now, which is carbohydrate addiction. But certainly subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook and on Instagram at CarbAddictionDoc. I hope this video got you to step back from your life and look at it from those two perspectives. Good luck, and if you're interested in some assistance or some guidance along this journey, text us to 561-517-0642 and we can set up an appointment. Thanks for watching.